Okay, so everybody, I know that a lot of people are posting all over Facebook about the Sean Feucht worship revival things going all over America. So I just want to say something as one, who has done a lot of these type of things, where I used to lead worship teams and I'd go out and we'd go around the world. We'd do these type of things. We would do rallies. We'd hold big things in villages for people to come. And I'll be really honest, during that time, I was getting actually just kind of like downloads from God, that God wanted me to learn how to really love people and not turn it into a place of warfare, not turn it into a place of me versus them, or me versus the devil, or the devil versus our team, and all of these things. And I guess part of me is a little bit disappointed in the way that I'm seeing Christians highlight these worship gatherings. It sounds very much like, aha, we've got it all together. The devil can't push our buttons. And look what we did. Look at this guy over here. And there's a lot of arrogance running through a lot of the threads. Not by every person I know. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying in general, there's a real arrogance of us versus them, and we're better than, and look what God's doing, and God, we can't be stopped, and the devil, and I just want to say that there are people's hearts and lives that are at stake that are actually watching these updates. There are people on platforms in Facebook that do not even know that God cares about them, that God loves them, that He sees their hearts. And what I'm receiving in a lot of my feeds and private messages and different things is, I feel like Christians are against me. I feel like God is against me. Does God care about me? Does God know that I'm in pain? And a lot of these type of gatherings, really there can be a disconnection that can happen with the communities that they're with. So for example, this last post that I witnessed, it was about the idea that they were in Washington, D.C. holding this big rally. 35,000 people showed up, which first of all, I'd like to know how they know 35,000 people showed up, because I've done rallies before and you can't just tally any person just standing there. So I do wonder, first off, that number. And then it was all about how a Satanist was mad and threw blood on one of the team members. But the way that was all shown and aired had a lot of like Hollywood action to it. Us versus them, we take down the darkness, we're amazing. And then they show the guy with the blood dumped on him. And I'm trying to figure out what effect you're looking for with this. Do you feel better now that you've kind of showed this? Because ultimately, my heart is grieving over the fact that this man had to go to these extremes. Has anybody thought about maybe sitting down with that man and talking with him? Has anybody thought about, I wonder why he was so angry that he would go to these ways, instead of just saying that, wow, he was pissed off at God? Maybe there's reasons for other things deeper than just the fact that you're holding a worship rally. Maybe it has nothing to do with your worshiping. Maybe he's just angry. So I guess this little spiel that I'm doing here is not against people specifically, but it's against the ideology and the notion that everything is about us versus them. And we are the better people, and they're the people over here who don't know anything. And hearts aren't being touched. Because I remember doing these rallies, guys. I remember it. It's easy. You go in, you got a bunch of agreement happening, everybody sings, it's all exciting, and then you move on to the next town. But then who's going to carry on the message of God in that place where you held some rally? Who's going to go to the houses and love people? Are you going to leave that up to the pastors of that town? Are you? It's so easy, guys, just to go in and do something and then pick yourself up and leave. And so, all this to say, I think there's a better approach. I'm not against holding a worship rally. I'm not against holding any rally. I'm not. As long as there are people whose hearts are really being genuinely cared for in it, loved, and that people are treated equally. Because what I am seeing is so much arrogance in the threads, so much we know better than the whole planet. And the reality is, I know that's not how God's doing this. And this revival that everybody's speaking and all of this stuff, I would just question all of that, to be honest. I would relook at the approaches. Because if it were me, I'd want to sit down with that Satanist. I'd want to take him for a cup of coffee. I'd want to put my arm around him and just say, hey, what's going on? What are you feeling? How can I help? Because aggression begets aggression. And that might be something you might want to think about. Have a good day, everybody.